everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candice Marie. Thanks for joining me. I'll be your astrologer today. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Just wanted to make a quick video as a reminder for some of you guys who are not aware, Jupiter is actually getting ready to re-enter the sign of Aries coming up here in this next week. This is probably the third video that I have done on this transit. We took a long look at it before it ingressed into Aries originally. We've taken a look at its retrograde and also when it made some conjunctions to Mars. And now we are seeing it finally re-enter the sign of Aries, and it's here to stay until the spring. So very, very significant, very potent energy, especially as we're coming into the beginning of Capricorn season. We're going to see quite a few squares that are taking place, and it's going to be really helpful and really important for incentivizing us to come up with new goals and to just get into action, to jump into action. So wonderful energy to actually get going on our New Year's Eve resolutions early. I know a lot of people like to start on the 1st, but I got to tell you guys, this is the best energy to set new intentions, really right around the 20th through the 24th this month. So I figured why not do another video, touch on it just as a reminder so you guys can get going with setting some of those resolutions. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm a Western astrologer. I focus on working with the transits in the cosmos, along with the Sabian symbols and tarot in my readings. I am super excited to say hello to everybody who's new on the channel. We have had a ton of influx of new followers. So thank you so much if you're new. Make sure you're subscribed, click the button below. Give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from and how you're feeling with these energies. To everybody else, welcome back. Hopefully you're doing well. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So obviously this isn't going to be happening still for a couple more days. The actual ingress will be taking place on December 20th, but it's going to feel a little bit like deja vu. Like we've had this transit happen several times over a very potent 0 degrees of Aries. So if we take a look here on the 20th, this will be the day that Jupiter goes back into Aries right before the winter solstice. And just super, super wild energy. We're going to see that this is a balsamic moon. We're going to have a new moon that's taking place in Capricorn closer to the 23rd. And that's going to be a new moon that will square Jupiter in Aries. So we're going to have a lot of significant points that are activating the cardinal points. So lots of global events, lots of change in the areas, not just of Aries, but also Capricorn. So Jupiter, right, has gone in and out of this particular sign. So you had some sneak peeks as to what Jupiter was providing you that would be new, abundant, expansive, and likely very exciting. These are the dates that we last had Jupiter at these degrees. So it was back in May 10th of 2022. That's when Jupiter first ingressed into Aries. And then it retrograded back and it was moving back into Pisces. So it was in Pisces from October 27th, 2022, just very briefly this last month or two until it reaches Aries again on the 20th. So you want to take a look at the last few times Jupiter was at 0 degrees of Aries. That's going to be the most active. So let me just take you guys back so you can take a look, because I know some of you guys are like me and you're visual. So if we look at May 10th, there we go. Remember, it was like after that Pisces party, there was the Jupiter, Mars, Neptune conjunction that was taking place. There we go. So yeah, just later in the day on the 10th, Jupiter entered into Aries. Now, the reason I want to show you guys is just you might want to look back at your journals. You might want to look back at even your social media. If you have notes or things in your calendar, take a look at what was going on in your life then, what was new that you were initiating, okay? I'll talk about Jupiter cycles in just a minute so you guys get an idea of how often we see these changes. And then obviously it continued to move through the sign of Aries. Special importance on when Mars and Jupiter came together. That was at the end of May of 2022. That was at 3 degrees of Aries. That's going to get reactivated as well. Mars rules Aries, and the Mars-Jupiter conjunction is just big energy. And at a 3, it was talking about making changes, writing things, learning things, traveling places. For a lot of people, it was also preemptively talking about moves or something that we were learning. For many of us, it's just been about moving our bodies as well, because Aries is very active. So Jupiter continued to move through the sign of Aries. It turned retrograde in August, and then it came back into Pisces, and it looks like that was October 27th. So the last time it was at 0 degrees-ish was the end of October, and then it moved back into Pisces. Now, Jupiter is associated traditionally with the sign of Pisces. That's more so the emotional or intuitive expansion, the invisible world, the things that we feel but we cannot necessarily see. It also has connections with Sagittarius, which is more about philosophy, desire to travel, to roam, to explore, and it's all about knowledge and sagely wisdom. Which brings us now to the last transit, and that's Jupiter coming back into Aries. So Jupiter changes signs roughly due to its retrograde about every year. We'll see sometimes Jupiter go into one sign and then retrograde back. Obviously, we saw that this year. But it takes 12 years to complete a Jupiter cycle. So now that we've got Jupiter back in the sign of Aries, we will not be seeing Jupiter return to Aries again until April 21st, 2034. It's a tongue tie there, 2034. When this happens, we are going to see that the South Node is also going to be in Aries. So it's going to be a very interesting energy. Let me just show you guys, because I was looking at this and I was like, whoa. Obviously, if you have a natal Jupiter in Aries, this is your Jupiter return. If you have your Jupiter anywhere between 0 degrees of Aries and 8 degrees of Aries, you've had several Jupiter returns. Lucky you. That just means that you've had a little bit more time to kind of prepare and embrace the sweetness. But like I said, the next time that this happens in 2034, there we go. If you can see here, Jupiter will be conjunct the South Node. Okay, so it's a pretty potent energy. We're going to see squares also from Uranus in Cancer, and there's going to be some cardinal T squares. So a very different energy in 12 years time. Obviously many of us can barely wrap our heads around 2023, let alone 12 years from now. But the South Node Jupiter can represent bringing back knowledge, bringing back goodness. So the reason why I bring this up now is that I feel like between Jupiter hitting 0 degrees, initiating something new, reactivating that 3 degrees where it conjuncted with Mars, where we're actually taking action, we may reap some of the reward, some of the sweetness 12 years from now. So important for setting intentions, guys. Trust me on this. All right, so let's now come back to 2022, shall we? And let's take a look at the 20th here. Now I want to give you guys some sweet spots, okay? So these are dates that you want to write down because these are going to be when Jupiter is going to be hitting some particular degrees where we're going to start to see the glimmers of what it is promising us. It was almost a bit of a tease, right? Seeing Jupiter go into Aries, we saw a lot of action, we got excited about something. We also saw some nice sextiles from Mars and Gemini. But this is when you're going to start to see the fruit of Jupiter's promises. So if this sounds like, Latin to you, you want to pull out your natal chart, take a look at your chart, look at where Aries is in your chart, okay? Jupiter's been going retrograde back and forth several times there. It's been saying, hey, we need to prepare for the future. There's this new thing that we need to kind of spearhead, or we need to get started. And likely you've been reevaluating and kind of deciding how you're going to go about tackling that. It might require a lot of work. It might be something you have to do on your own. It might be very physical. It might require travel or even education, but it is going to be worth it. You're going to start to see all the yummies kind of coming through right around these dates, and I'll tell you why. So the first one's going to be on the 14th of January, 2023. I have to mentally get used to saying that. I'm going to be saying that a lot now. And that's because it's going to hit that 3 degree spot again, where Jupiter and Mars conjuncted, and it was like a power up. So referencing, like I said, that happened earlier this year, we're going to start to see the effects of that kind of start to blossom, and you're going to see just the momentum or the speed of that particular area of your life start expanding. Okay, so then The next one is going to be on March 2nd, 2023. There we go. And the reason why I bring this date up, although it's sweet and salty. I mean, you got to take the wins when you can. Obviously, a Venus-Jupiter conjunction is definitely an overabundance. It's an indulgence. It's lots of sugar, lots of sweetness, romance. In this case, it can be lots of passion and lots of opportunity for good luck, personal growth, and travel. But we have Venus that obviously is in its fall. So Venus in Aries is a little bit more rough and tumble. It can definitely also be something that's more spiritual or something that's about uncovering something that we're learning. We're learning to heal our wounds. Very interesting day to see both Venus and Jupiter conjunct. And we're also seeing this conjunct Chiron in Aries. So if you have any placements like 11 to 14 degrees of Aries, you're going to really feel this sun, moon, rising. If it's your natal Venus return, there can be some sense of really finally learning about our wounds and how to tend to our wounds and how to heal ourselves. I've thought for a long time that the Chiron and Aries transit was going to be about self-healing, but it's also about taking responsibility, the responsibility that we have for healing ourselves, working on ourselves, and how we can better contribute to our relationships, society. I mean, the list goes on. You'll see this also during the new moon in Capricorn, because it's going to square that 0 degree point. So we're kind of becoming aware, because there's so much responsibility to make changes out in the world, to make changes in our lives, that it's up to us, right? Especially when we look at the squares from Capricorn to Aries, it reminds me that if you don't like your job, change it. If you don't feel like you have enough drive, you have to find that motivation. Nobody is going to save you. You have to be the one who comes in and saves yourself. We're going to learn a lot about this through Capricorn season, and then we're going to start to see the effects of it by about March, April, right around the time we have the real New Year's, which will be when the sun ingresses into Aries around the 3rd week of March, going into April. I'm using this time personally because I look at this and I'm like, wow, I know that within 3 months' time, I'm actually going to start seeing that I'm going to be more self-sufficient, or I'm going to feel healthier, I'm going to be more active, and it'll take 3 months for that to unfold. So if you're somebody who wants to do that too, join me, do that on the new moon in Capricorn on the 23rd. Sit down, write your intentions out, and you need to give yourself until Aries season to fully see those effects. But I promise you, if you give it 3 months, you will start to see the effects, right? I'm sure everybody's like heard that term that's like, it takes 1 month for you to feel a difference. It takes 2 months for other people to start to notice, and then 3 months for it to just really be visible. That really, really applies when we're looking at the aspect from Capricorn to Aries. So definitely set those intentions, guys, during that new moon. The next transit that I wanted to take a look at also is going to be March the 21st. And this is a doozy. March and April is like so loud. I love it. March 21st, this is going to be a new moon in Aries at 0 degrees. Again, so it keeps bringing up this 0 degrees. Interesting that throughout this year, we saw like in the summer solstice, the fall equinox, the winter solstice, there were squares to early degrees of Aries. So it's been in so many ways putting the pressure on us, telling us like, hey, you need a new start in this area of your life. So here it is again. We have a new moon in Aries at 0 degrees, the very first degree of the zodiac. That's another reason why this is so potent. I'll get to that in a second. But that is going to be the same degree where Jupiter has been, where it's gone back and forth and back and forth. Could you wait until the astrological new year on the 21st? AKA this is going to be the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. Yes, you can. So if you really, really want to wait and go, would rather do it when the real astrological new year begins, you can do that then. I mean, so wild. The astrology next year is so crazy. But I definitely feel like this is when, if you haven't set your intentions, or if you haven't gotten going with whatever new things are happening, this is a second chance. Then we're going to take this to April 11th, and this is some of the more interesting transits, I think, in regards to Jupiter. We are going to see Jupiter conjunct the sun, okay? And this is an exalted sun because the sun is exalted in Aries, traditionally associated with Leo. exalted in Aries. So we call this a lucky day, Sun conjunct Jupiter, especially if you've got any personal placements between, let's say, 20 and 22 degrees of Aries. That's going to be extra sweet. So that's when you really start kind of feeling the flow of like your own personal goals, the Sun, desire, and actions, Aries, coming into fruition. And you're like, this is what I've learned. This is what I can teach other people. This is how I've become more self-sufficient. Self-sufficiency is the name of the game in 2023, okay? We're going to see a future where to be wealthy, it means that you're entrepreneurial or you're self-employed, or that you're healthy, that you're fit, that you're capable of being able to do things on your own. It's going to be a very different ball game next year. So for those of you guys who have been serious about some of your health and your fitness goals, now is the time to get the show on the road, and you don't need a lot of things to do it. Jupiter in Aries tells us that you can teach yourself. You can pick up a book on, dietary stuff. You can decide that you're going to build your own home gym. You can decide that you're going to launch your own business. There's so much stuff that comes from this conjunction. I think it's going to be extra sweet. Then we're going to have on May 12th through the 16th of 2023. This is going to be when Jupiter is at 29 degrees. So it will be reactivating an eclipse. And I'll talk about that in another video, not quite yet, but yes, we're going to start seeing eclipses happening in Aries and Libra in 2023. Even though the North Node has not moved into Aries yet, it's within 4 degrees. So this is going to be a out of sign North Node eclipse at 29 degrees. We're going to see that in April, but this is going to be reactivating that. So we know when we have eclipses, when planets go into conjunction with that degree, or they oppose or they square it, it's bringing it up. So just to kind of show you guys, it will be this one. So April 19th, 2023, 29 degrees of Aries. Okay, so we have a new moon that happens at 0 degrees, and then we have another new moon, solar eclipse, that happens at 29 degrees. What do we call that? I think is it a blue moon? But it's unusual to have 2 new moons in one cycle, and it's really referencing this is where we start and this is where we're ending, or this is where we're planning on completing something. So once again, the area of Aries in our life is going to be so significant for us. And you will see that reactivation when it comes back into that conjunction with that degree, and that is going to be May 12th through the 16th. So you're going to start to see the positive effects of that really kind of expanding. Really looking at especially like May 16th as that moon comes into conjunction with Jupiter. And that day, Jupiter is going to be then going into Taurus. And Jupiter will enter into Taurus on the 16th of May, 2023. And it will stay there pretty much all, spring into the summer. I'll talk about that transit in another video. But something that's really prominent that's going to happen is not only do we have Jupiter change signs, Jupiter comes into conjunction with the North Node. So we're expanding the future of our destiny. Taurus picks up where Aries initiated and started something, right? Aries is really great, as are all the cardinal energies, but Aries especially is really great at starting things, but not necessarily finishing things. God bless you guys. I have an Aries moon, so I get it. But it's picking up the slack where all of this Aries energy has initiated and started something. So something is starting in March, April, and then May, we start to see the physical effects of that. We start to see physical effects, physical changes with our body, changes with our food, changes with our resources, changes with our money, changes with banking. Jupiter in Taurus can definitely be a very significant placement for wealth. And definitely Jupiter conjunct the North Node, and the moon coming into conjunction there can be very fortuitous. But off the bat, we're going to start seeing Jupiter come into a square with Pluto, right? So I'm working on a 2023 video. You guys are going to see that soon. But yeah, just so much big energy with some of these triggers that are happening between March and May. Some of the most significant astrology all year will happen between March and May of 2023. So it's almost like we're going to feel all of the transits in the year compounded within that 3-month period. Granted, we're going to have a Venus retrograde. We're going to have some eclipses in the fall. But yeah, these are the most important dates. Now, who is this going to be affecting the most, right? So basically, if you have an Aries sun, an Aries moon, or an Aries rising, you are going to be the ones who are going to be feeling this the most, especially if you have any placements in Aries really within the first 10 degrees. That's where you're going to see most of this getting kicked off into the spring. If you have 0 to 10 degrees of the cardinal signs, okay, you're going to be feeling this the most as well, because you'll be experiencing this as a square. Jupiter squares can just make things feel more magnified or larger than life. And if you are a Sag or a Pisces rising, this is significant because you're ruled by Jupiter. So it's really important for you to be paying attention to when Jupiter changes signs, because you're going to feel it. It can affect your body, and it's going to affect obviously the area of Aries in your chart. But really all of the Aries placement, right? Because Jupiter is only going to continue to move forward until it goes into Taurus later in May. So all of the Aries placements are going to get hit. If you're somebody who is beyond the 8 degrees of Aries and you haven't had your Jupiter return yet, or you haven't had your Jupiter conjunct your sun or your ascendant, you will be getting that in the spring. So the sweetness is definitely coming, but it will not retrograde back into Aries. So once it moves into Taurus, it's there to stay. There will be a retrograde in Taurus, but it's not going to retrograde over the 9 to 29 degrees of Aries. You're only going to get one chance at this, and it's a once in a 12-year period that you get that expansion and that abundance. But personally, I feel like it's going to be positive for everybody. I feel like it's going to benefit everyone. Now, Aries in general, archetypally, when we look at Aries, this is somebody who is entrepreneurial, they're action-oriented, trailblazers, independent, they're fierce, and they're self-starters. So when I think of Aries energy, it's like striking a match, right? It's getting ready to run a sprint or like a relay race. Aries is ruled by Mars, so Mars energy is intense, it's heated, it's driven, passionate, but it can also be confrontational, combative, and defensive. Now, Aries is a cardinal sign, so like I said, it initiates things. These are the signs that usher in the changes of the seasons. So we are going to almost feel like there is a new season of our life starting in this area of Aries in our chart. And Aries is ruled by fire. So fire element in astrology is about life and passion and things that burn or desire, okay? So when we take all of this together, obviously we're going to see lots of action involving individuals. Jupiter in general is associated with luck, but also with law, philosophy, learning, travel, education, higher knowledge. So there's definitely going to be more information, more learning. Jupiter is associated with Sagittarius, so there can also be more about philosophy or culture or publishing, higher education. People might be switching professions, so suddenly we might have a lot of people that are wanting to go back to school, get programs, get certifications, but we might also have people who are wanting to learn, like I said, more about physical health. So we might see more dietitians, we might see more people who are coming out that want to become trainers. We might see that there's more people wanting to learn the law in regards to their rights as citizens, or wanting to educate themselves about business and entrepreneurial laws. There might be more like job coaching, coaches in general. There's going to be more of an emphasis on learning more about masculinity and divine masculinity as well, because Aries is a masculine sign. But when Jupiter is in Aries, we have the opportunity to be more self-focused, self-sufficient. We're eager to soak up knowledge and also adventure. And it's going to really put an emphasis on believing in ourselves, making our own way, but more importantly, making our own luck. Like I said, 0 degrees is the first degree of the zodiac. So it's almost like a gun. It just takes off very suddenly and unexpectedly, gives us fresh new opportunities and fresh starts. Something I've really learned about the Jupiter in Aries transit has been a lot of like, hurry up, let's get going. We don't know the ending yet, and we don't even really know what we're doing yet, but we need to get started. So there's been a little bit of like baptism by fire, pun intended, although that would be more Neptune in Aries, but whatever. In terms of being like, I don't really know my way around yet, or I don't know how to do this thing yet. There in turn, that's why we've had this opportunity through the retrograde to read up on things, learn about things, like get ready. And there's been several false starts, but now that Jupiter is fully moving back into the sign, it's time to kind of get things going. I also really like the fact that Jupiter going back into the sign of Aries is going to really amplify the Mars retrograde. Finally, we're going to come out of all of these mutable squares that we've been seeing once we've, gotten all these planets into Capricorn. Granted, it's going to put the pressure on Jupiter and things are going to feel a little bit more heated, but it's not going to be as confusing as it's been recently. And as Jupiter moves forward, Mars is getting ready to station. So Jupiter is going to be moving a little bit more quickly than Mars, and Jupiter is going to start coming into a sextile again with Mars. It's not going to be exact, but it's going to be close, and it'll stay in that sextile range pretty much until about mid-February. So Jupiter, obviously self-starter, getting moving, really active, sextiling Mars where it has like a really strong connection. And air fuels fire. So where we're more driven, more passionate, more willing to expand and learn about ourselves, enhance our own lifestyles, it's really leaning into that Mars and Gemini where it's like, okay, we're actually getting ready to actually take the action, especially once Mars wakes up, right? So let me read you guys the Sabian symbols for 0 degrees of Aries. My handy dandy Sabian Symbols Screen of Prophecy book. You can find all my book links below. If you click on my Amazon book link, you can always see what I'm reading. Aries 1, a woman rises out of water. A seal rises and embraces her. The keyword is realization. The theme, the way to begin is to begin. The symbol speaks to birth, emergence, taking the first faltering and naive steps on any journey. It also speaks to the stirring from within that signals and realization of potential and the possibilities of growth. The image of a woman rising out of the water, a seal embraces her, depicts the feminine, emotional, and receptive or passive side of a man, embraced by the masculine, purposeful, and initiating active side of himself. The image also symbolizes the human spirit and the embrace by desire. The emphasis here is on the achievement of self-integration, or that mystical union of all elements of self. On a practical level, its image represents the first degrees of the zodiac, thus spring, the beginning of a new cycle and freedom of choice. It also marks the starting point of a journey of self-discovery. At its highest, the symbol represents independence, initiative, openness to the experience, watch for willfulness or lack of discrimination. The accent is on change and new beginnings. You may be feeling bored, restless, or lonely, or that something is missing. Adventure beckons like the sweet scent of lilacs on a gentle spring wind. The novel and the difference have a special allure. Your greatest advantage lies in being sensitive to what it is that you really need. Take a broader look at options available to you. Window shop and pay close attention to timing. Guard against rashness, hasty decisions, and quick commitments. Avoid jumping from the frying pan to the fire or being headstrong and stubborn in relationships with others. Stepping stones would be birth, new beginnings, self-integration, growth, new cycles, freedom of choice, and receptivity. So, I mean, it's pretty bang on. It's interesting, like the woman being born of the water and like the seals. It kind of reminds me of the birth of Venus. So part of me wonders, are we going to see more of that really emerging, right? Especially once we see Venus coming into conjunction with Jupiter, that there is this side of femininity that is going to be more dominant, more masculine. We're seeing this a lot just in the transits, having the North Node in Taurus, which is about pleasure and passion and anything connecting to stability and what feels good, the senses, right? And the South Node at Scorpio, where we're moving away from fear and things that are kind of like toxic. Being that these are ruled by Mars and Venus, the North Node being in Taurus and its association with Venus is talking about this new emergence that's going on with femininity. Not necessarily men or women, just femininity, getting in touch with our feelings and our desires. I'm really curious to see what happens as Jupiter and Venus come into conjunction, because we might realize that we become very passionate, willing to kind of take more initiative to learn the things we want to learn, go the places we want to go, do the things that we want to do. And we start seeing like a much more active and kind of like feisty side of Venus. Now, some ritual ideas that I have for you guys, just to like really make the most of this energy, to really use it to your full capabilities, would be fire intentions. So working with fire, obviously, at least here in the Northern Hemisphere, it's getting chilly in these parts. if you want to write something down, set your intentions on a piece of paper, sit, hold it, meditate it, throw it into a fireplace. Perfect way to be able to do that. You can also chant or pray in front of a candle, or light a candle and set your intentions. Like I said, this is going to be about New Year's resolutions that really stick, especially after that new moon on the 23rd. You'll see, if you guys saw my new moon video, that new moon squares Jupiter. So that new moon in Capricorn is going to be in a superior position. It's coming down on Jupiter, telling Jupiter, get going. You have a lot of responsibility before this thing emerges in the spring. So we're feeling crunched for time. But our resolutions can definitely stick. We can have much more focus and determination, especially with all these planets in Capricorn right now. Doing work with Jupiter on either, first of all, Jupiter's day is Thursdays, so wishes on Thursdays can be really prominent, but you may also opt to work out on Thursdays. You may opt to take a class on Thursdays. Mars is associated obviously with Tuesday, but because this is a Jupiter transit, I could see a little bit of this bleeding into both Tuesday and Thursday, depending on your schedule. This is not necessarily ritual ideas, but it can definitely be something that can enhance this energy. I would recommend that you guys look more so into self-study and education, learning a skill, learning a hobby, learning more about fitness, learning more about your freedom, learning more about your rights, learning more about self-defense. These can all be things that can be really helpful. And focus on self-empowerment. Take action, learn mantras, especially if you're somebody who likes to exercise, you like to work out, listening to a self-help book or anything that's going to be about self-empowerment. If you're somebody who likes to listen to like Tony Robbins or like other people that are going to be empowering you, get up, especially first thing in the morning, that's Aries, and get moving. Try to get as much done early in the morning as you can, even if that means that you're getting up an hour early just to take a walk around the block, or be able to read a few pages out of a book, or be able to learn a new skill. Working that time in and making the commitment and the dedication will make such a huge, huge shift in your life come March and April of 2023. So do consider all of that. Like I said, considering this is also coinciding with the winter solstice here in the northern hemisphere, that is also another indication that for the better part of like the next 3 months, we are going to see this Sun-Jupiter square be playing out. You'll hear more about this in my weekly video when I talk to you guys about the astro weather, but we have a Capricorn party going on in the skies this week. And when all of those planets are hanging out in Capricorn, it needs to focus on goals. It needs to plan. It needs to have long-term strategy kind of implemented and put in line. Why? Because Capricorn is the general. It's giving orders to Aries, who is the soldier. So it's basically strategizing and planning and kind of coming up with everything that needs to be done, so that way we can be more capable, lighter on our feet, a little bit stronger, and feeling a little bit more empowered or independent by the time we get to Aries season. So yeah, this next 3 months is going to be very, very loud in terms of the squares to Jupiter. There is a sense of being overly optimistic. There can be some really strong egos. That can definitely be a thing. Ego conflicts we can see with Sun square Jupiter. But I feel like as long as we're staying focused on our goals and we're staying grounded, we're going to be able to really see some of these positive changes and positive expansions in our life come the spring. Especially considering the fact that all of these planets are in the sign Capricorn, which is the exaltation of Mars. So it's going to be putting pressure in a good way on Jupiter. We've already seen Mercury and Venus kind of square, so the new moon coming through there and squaring that is just going to provide a very busy lunar cycle for the next month in general, okay? And just as a reminder, I'm going to remind all of you guys where this is taking place for each and every one of the 12 signs. So let me set that up for you guys so you can see that. Okay, so as always, this is a general prediction for Western astrology whole sign. If you like Placidus like I do, then you may have to look exactly where 0 degrees of Aries is in your chart. For some of you guys, it might be intercepted in a house, or it might be in a different house. So you may have to listen to 2 different signs. But to make the most of my horoscope predictions, listen to your rising sign, followed by your sun sign, and then your moon sign. You might see a little bit of truth in all of these, but the rising rising sign is the one that's really going to tell you where in your life this change is. If you don't know how to find that, check out a birth chart calculator online. You can put your information in and it'll cast that for free. Just look at the 9 o'clock hour on the chart or consider booking a reading with me. I'd love to see you. All right, here we go. So for my Aries and Aries rising, especially those of you guys who are Aries rising, the first 10 degrees, it's been a wild ride. Jupiter's gone in and out of your ascendant. It's been kind of a little bit of like keeping the faith, taking a step back, keeping the faith, taking a step back. Now Jupiter is moving forward. So as Jupiter sits on your ascendant, it's promising you like a totally different, new, more positive, optimistic outlook on life. Yes, Jupiter on the ascendant can definitely bring on the sugar cravings. It can bring on the sweet tooth, and it can also bring pregnancy for those of you guys who are women. If you're not looking to do that, it can be relocations or just a much more kind of well-rounded, well-traveled kind of vibe. And you might be kind of feeling like you just need more freedom or you just need to kind of wander. Jupiter's connected to your 9th house of higher education, belief, and philosophy, and your 12th house of hidden stuff, your intuition, foreign travel. So maybe some of you guys have been training or you've been learning something, you've been studying abroad, and now you are full of all this sagely goodness and wisdom. Jupiter will continue to move through your personal placements really up until mid-May. Then it'll go into Taurus and it will be blessing you possibly with more money and more resources. But more on that next year. Good luck, Aries. All right, so we've got Taurus and Taurus rising. Jupiter is back in the sign of Aries for you, okay? So it's happening in your natal 12th house. Here, Taurus, there can be some moods, okay? It can happen. It does mean that you're kind of picking up intuitively. You're getting more sensitive that there are changes coming, that there is going to be change on the horizon. This is a year that can feel like there is some completing that's going on, especially up until right around your birthday. Now, Jupiter has connections to joint resources and money that you share with other people. It can be about spousal money. It can also be about inheritances. It can be about taxes. It can also be about intimacy and psychological stuff. So you can be much more emotional and sensitive and feel like you need privacy. Now, Jupiter also has connections to Pisces, which is about your goals. So I think that you're opting to have more privacy, to either be alone, travel alone, maybe working out by yourself, because you're trying to work out some of these changes and you're trying to really focus on your goals, and you're doing this in a private space. So you may feel inclined to want to go be in private gyms, healing centers, retreat centers, things like that, as you're focusing on that and you're preparing for Jupiter to go into your sign in the spring. So closer to your birthday, you're going to see Jupiter hanging out in your first house if you're a Taurus rising, and it's going to be somewhere around your rising or your sun or your moon. This can be really, really abundant for Tauruses, but it can also be an indication of pregnancy, especially as Jupiter and Uranus get closer and closer together, and there's some eclipses that are going to be on your ascendant next year. For the most part, I feel like this is just coming to terms with one phase of your life that's ending and processing that and moving through that and getting ready for this next phase, and really seeing the physical effects. I would recommend, if you guys can travel, if you can train or learn more about esoteric and spiritual things, that can be helpful, as can chanting or anything in terms of meditation. You might be finding that you're wanting to embrace a new belief system or a new spiritual practice as well. Good luck. For my Gemini and Gemini rising, you have Jupiter that's moving into the sign of Aries. It's in your natal 11th house. This is going to be blessing you and bringing you opportunities to really focus on your goals, making new friends, socializing, networking, traveling with friends. All of these things are very likely. I love the fact that Jupiter plays very nicely with your ascendant, so you're going to see sextiles and that you're getting really active and focusing on your goals. Jupiter has connections with your 10th house of career and your 7th house of relationships. So likely you're finding that there's more socializing with business. There's more potential for business partnerships and opportunities. There may be more celebrations where there are get-togethers and gatherings with romantic partners. Where you're talking more with, boyfriends, girlfriends, business partners, husbands, wives. about what your goals are and what you're hoping to create, what you're hoping to achieve. It can be wonderful for just finally getting the recognition after a whole lot of hard work in terms of your career, but it can also be a time when you're leveling up and you're getting more serious about your career, and you're doing so as a result of networking with other people. Good news also for partners, romantic partners, because Jupiter in the 11th makes me feel like they can also be completing some of their creative goals as well. Really nice placement to have this year though. So I would just say networking and focusing on friends and taking action when it comes to really participating in your social get-togethers is very important, because it's only going to bring you stronger connections in terms of your relationships and your business. Good luck, Gemini. For Cancer and Cancer rising, we have Jupiter going into Aries. It is here to stay, at least through the spring. And my Cancers, it's time to go big or go home when it comes to your career. Jupiter's in the 10th house, which is all about expanding your professional reputation, what you do in the world, and whether or not you're potentially going to reach the next level when it comes to climbing the corporate ladder or even launching your own business. Now, Jupiter has connections to the 9th house, which is about philosophy or gurus, even education. It also has connections to Sagittarius, which is the 6th house, which is about health and being of service. I feel like there can be many Cancer risings that are having expansions in their career because they're learning a new skill or they're learning a new trade. If you are somebody who's involved either in education, travel, or the service industry, you'll see like a really big expansion in terms of your career. Equally, if you're focused on acting or anything that can be more involved with travel, that can also be an expansion as well. Yes, you're going to feel the pressure, as will all of the cardinal signs. Jupiter at the top part of your chart is really saying, hey, it's time to get serious about your professional goals. It's going to square your ascendant. It's going to square your 7th house. Those of you guys who have been in some messy business or romantic relationships, you are going to realize in this next year that you can only be with people who are supporting the person that you're becoming. You're going to want more authority out in the world. You're also going to want more freedom when it comes to your career. Jupiter will bless you, as will the North Node eclipses that are taking place in the spring, but it's really important for you to show up, be on time, be consistent, and feel like you're getting involved in something that you're most passionate about. And if you have to do some kind of training, or you have to travel somewhere, or you have to publish or teach something in order to get there, so be it. Good luck, Cancer. For my Leo and Leo risings, you have Jupiter moving through Aries in a sister sign in your 9th house. My goodness, great placement. Jupiter loves being in the 9th house. You've got Jupiter that's in a trine to your sun, moon, or rising. Jupiter in the 9th house brings you opportunities to meet new teachers, meet new gurus, complete an education, start a new program, to travel to a new place. Many of you guys might be traveling alone or more independently. Jupiter also has connections to your 5th house of true love, creativity, and joy, or children. It also has connections to your 8th house of joint resources. So some of you guys may be learning more about the stock market, investments, how to make your money work for you. You might be talking about potentially having a child with someone. You may also be talking about taking a creative venture to the next level, especially if you want to publish anything. So books or memoirs, if you want to write your own personal story and maybe talk to somebody about getting it illustrated. These can all be personal projects that you can complete throughout this year. I like the fact that it's in a fire sign and it's really going to support you. You're going to see some of like the most awesome transits pretty much April. By your birthday, Jupiter is going to be moving into Taurus, and that will bring lots of expansion in terms of your career. So if you need to learn how to do something, how to publish something, how to teach something, now is the time to do it. I also feel like Jupiter being here, it's going to bring very significant new gurus, teachers, or mentors for a lot of you guys. If you're in the business of law or travel or publishing, that kind of stuff, you're gonna do very well this year with some of these aspects. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's quite nice for you. I think what you're just learning with the ingress is how to make time for all of the things that you want to do. But I could see a lot of Leos living their best life and doing a lot of traveling. Good luck. For Virgos and Virgo rising, you have Jupiter that is returning to Aries in your natal 8th house, which deals with joint resources, other people's money, taxes, inheritances, intimacy, sex, but it also is about shadow self and working through fears. So Jupiter is connected to your 4th house of home and family. It's also connected to your 7th house of other people. So for some Virgos and Virgo risings, you're highlighting the theme of what it means to merge home and relationships, how to take your money and turn it into our money, how to take your family's home and turn it into your home. There may be inheritances, there may be property inheritances, having to deal with taking care of legal paperwork in regards to family money and things of that nature. You may need to talk to attorneys this year. You may need to talk to therapists this year. Those of you guys who are thinking about going through separations, you may have to be looking at whether or not you're willing to sell your home, share your home, pay spousal or child support. That can definitely be a thing. But for those of you guys who are getting serious in relationships, it's talking about credit, savings, debt usage, things like that. So you can focus on being able to buy homes, finance homes, move in together, pay for things, especially as Saturn comes into your 7th house. Now, because Jupiter has connections to your 7th house of relationships, it can also mean that you're having people meet your family or you're meeting your partner's family for the first time. And there is this like kind of coming together and you're having to really ask yourself how you feel and if you're open to the idea of being a little bit more vulnerable and sharing space with other people. Good luck. For my Libras and my Libra risings, you have got Jupiter that is coming into your 7th house of relationships. So for those of you guys who are single, you might meet very significant partners in this next year, both because Jupiter is going to go through your 7th house, but also because you're going to have the North Node moving there and you're going to have eclipses taking place there as well. Jupiter has connections to your 6th house of health, wellness, and also service. This is also about pets. Or your daily routines. It can be about doctors and things like that. And Jupiter is connected to your 3rd house of communication, travel, learning, vehicles, and cars. So for Jupiter to move into your 7th house, it's amplifying your relationships and communication in relationships and teaching you how to be more open and also be a little bit more I'm not going to say combative, but a little bit more assertive when it comes to your relationships with other people and learning to ask for help because Jupiter has connections to the 6th house. Now, on the flip side, you can definitely see more conflict with other people. Although Jupiter is a positive planet, being in the sign of Aries is you're just going to see that there's going to be more combativeness with others and it's going to kind of push you to kind of speak up more. Obviously, like all the cardinal signs, this is a little complex, but especially for you, Libra, because you're having planets move through your 4th house of home and family. So some of you guys are moving home, you're buying homes, you're renovating homes, you're having to spend a lot of time around your family or be dealing with family related things, and it's putting the pressure on your relationship. So relationship kind of push and pull and how that's affecting home or family dynamics can be a thing. For women, though, Jupiter going through the 7th house can be a year where you meet a significant man, or it can be a potential marriage partner. This can also bring up the theme of just learning how to communicate and work through issues with siblings or neighbors, okay? Watch for that, Libra. Good luck. For my Scorpios and Scorpio risings, you have Jupiter that is returning to Aries in your natal 6th house. This is going to be an interesting one. Get ready to work your butt off all year long, really being of service, really sacrificing, really giving a lot. But where you're willing to do that, there is a lot of opportunity for gains. Now, Jupiter has connections to your 2nd house of money and resources. It also has connections to your 5th house, which deals with joy or children or anything in connection to dating or your own business. So for Scorpio risings who are self-employed, I feel like this is going to be a year where you're going to be very busy. You're especially going to see this March, April, May of 2023. Obviously there can be more money, but there can also be more need to manage or handle things. So some of you guys may need accountants, you may need business professionals or lawyers or other people to help you kind of get established in a new business. If you're looking to improve your health, if you're looking to get a trainer, if you're looking to find a new doctor, you may do so, but it may be somebody who may cost a little bit. It might be like a fancy gym, or possibly like a new eating routine or something that might be a little bit more pricey. Jupiter in the 6th house really focuses on just giving and being of service and helping. So you may feel like you're willing to be more generous with your money when it comes to getting things done around the house. So rather than fixing something yourself, you might go, you know what, I'm gonna hire a handyman. You might also be more willing to pay people to come in and clean your house or organize your home or take care of your children or handle odd jobs for your business. Because Saturn's going into your 5th house, Scorpio, and Jupiter is going into your 6th, to me, it seems like there is a responsibility either to get serious about your love life, serious about what makes you happy, or serious about children. And some of you guys might be realizing that you need to be working hard to be able to better take care of children, or that you're more willing to hire help or assistance, okay? Good luck. For my Saggies and Sag risings, obviously this is important because Jupiter rules your sign, okay? But we have Jupiter that is moving into your 5th house of Aries. Wonderful aspect. It not only rules your chart, but it's going to be trining your sign. So it's extra sweet for Sagittarians. I foresee this being a situation where, because it connects to not only your 1st house, but also your 4th house, many of you guys are really focusing on having fun, having a creative space in your home. Obviously, yes, Jupiter in the 5th house can be an announcement of a pregnancy, but not always. It could be something as simple as, I've learned a new hobby, so now I have like a new side hustle, which turns into a business. It can be, I'm spending more time having fun, going on vacation, going to theme parks, hanging out with my kids. It can also be that you are focusing on expanding your home and creating more space in your home to have fun. So an office, a craft room, a movie room, you know, things like that. Especially if you've been thinking about putting like a screening room in your house, or if you're wanting to build a swimming pool or get a hot tub for recreational things, I could definitely see that being a thing. Is it possible that you meet someone or fall in love with something this year? 100%, because Jupiter in the 5th house is going to be about what you go after, what you enjoy, what you love. So there's definitely more room for fun, more room for gambling, and more room for romance for many of you. But the connection to your ascendant and the 5th house is about what you proactively do to be able to create more fun for yourself. So this can be sporting events, going to sporting games, especially with Aries in the 5th. But it can also be taking up tennis or golf, or doing something that you can do by yourself that brings you a little bit of exercise, and you're going to feel like it's going to be helping kind of release energy as well. Good luck. For Capricorn and Cap rising, we have Jupiter that is returning to your 4th house in Aries. Like all the cardinal signs, you're going to feel the crunch of this. It's going to be right off the bat, right around the time of the winter solstice and that new moon, that you're going to feel like, oh my goodness, something is going on with me emotionally, something's going on with my home, my family, or with where I'm living, okay? Now, Jupiter in the 4th house can expand the home. It can bring new homes. It can bring a bigger home. It can bring a relocation to like a foreign country. It can also have you traveling and needing to go and be somewhere and taking care of a family member, like a parent. Now, Jupiter rules the 12th house, which is about what's hidden, what's foreign, what you don't see coming. It can deal with hospitals. And Jupiter also rules your 3rd house of communication. So some of you guys might get phone calls from siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. Hey, you know, so-and-so needs help. They're going through some kind of treatment. They need to go through a rehab program. They need help relocating. Can you come help? Be prepared for some of these emails, phone calls, or text messages. Equally, it's really putting the pressure on you to communicate with some of these people so you can figure out whether or not you actually have to come home. But it can be trying to find new neighborhoods. It can be learning new languages so you can adjust to new places that you might be moving as well. It's not all doom and gloom. Jupiter in the 4th is here to bring you a new, stronger, better, more expansive emotional foundation. And for some of you guys, it might be having your very first own home, or your first apartment by yourself, or you're moving for the very first time. Now it's going to square your ascendant, so you're going to feel emotional. It's putting the pressure on you and whether or not you're open to change. It's also going to square your descendant, which is going to be about relationships. So you're going to really see in December and also March and April lots of changes in your life, Right now, the Mercury retrograde is having you focus on what's changing with you, how you're feeling, how you communicate before you figure out where it is that you're going to be going or where you're going to be calling home. This will also activate a lot in terms of your intuition. So just keep an eye on that you're going to be having more vivid dreams and just stronger hunches in general. Good luck. For Aquarius and Aquarius rising, we have Jupiter that's going into your natal 3rd house, which is all about communication. This is also about siblings, cars, travel, writing, what you're learning in general. Jupiter rules your 11th house of friendships and goals and having fun. And Jupiter also rules your 2nd house of money, talent, and investment. So you might be spending a little bit more time, right? Traveling with friends. You might get a new car or a new vehicle. You may also be willing to be more generous with some of your friends, especially if it means completing a certain goal of some kind. You might be thinking about exploring or looking at new neighborhoods, learning new languages, buying new gadgets, phones, desktops, kind of softwares, things like that, that can really enhance your ability to communicate, especially if you're hoping to put out like a podcast, or if you want to launch a new website, or if you're wanting to focus more on your social media and really getting the attention of groups or collectives in general. I like that this energy sextiles your ascendant. I also like that really what it's saying is it's helping prepare you as you come into this new phase, as Saturn leaves your sign, as Pluto comes into your sign, where you're really changing and transforming in some way. And to me, it seems like you have changed the way that you're thinking and you're focusing on being more optimistic in your day-to-day. So it's looking very good for you, Aquarius. Good luck. And for my Pisces and Pisces rising, obviously this is important because Jupiter rules your sign. It rules your 1st house of your body. Now, Jupiter is going back into Aries, so it's in your 2nd house. So this can bring more opportunities for wealth, abundance. You'll especially see this March, April, May, the money you generate. It's also about your talent. It's also about your self-esteem. So you're really feeling like, hey, I can generate more income. I have a talent that can bring me more resources. I like the fact also that it is not only going to be moving through your 2nd house, but it's going to move into your 3rd house. So once it goes into Taurus, you might see the physical manifestations of that. Some of you guys might be focusing, especially in March and April, on how can I develop my talents to make more in resources. Aries is about what you spearhead, what you initiate. So I could see a lot of Pisces and Pisces rising thinking about launching their own businesses and finding ways to be able to be more creative when it comes to making money in general, especially because there's going to be some sextiles to Mars. So some of you guys will be like, I want to learn a new art skill. Some of you guys are like, I want to buy property. It really depends. The 2nd house does deal with land. Now, because Jupiter deals with your 1st house, it's also about what you're eating. And so you might be feeling like you're needing to eat differently. Jupiter also deals with your 10th house of responsibility and career. So I could see some of you guys focusing more on your appearance. Maybe you're investing more money on your appearance. Maybe you're investing more money in yourself because you're wanting to really expand your career and you're realizing it takes a little bit of money to make money. Regardless, the fact that it's going to be in your 2nd house and it's going to be the base to trine into your 10th house of career, you will see, especially in March and April, that there's something getting started that's going to really bring you more opportunities in terms of visibility in the professional sphere of your life. Focus on your self-esteem, really focus on building yourself up, and be mindful that there can be impulses to spend. Focus on being able to invest in yourself and try not to just let all the money go out the window, okay? But you're definitely going to bring in more abundance, especially right around the time of those eclipses. Okay, guys, I'm excited for this transit. Hopefully it's as positive it seems like it's going to be. Don't forget to plan on setting those intentions for your New Year's resolutions. Do that right around the time of the new moon in Capricorn. And I'll plug some other videos. So if you want to see the other videos that I have put out there in terms of the Jupiter transits, I think there's 2 other ones. They're going to be somewhere around here. You'll be able to watch them as a recap. And if you want to also be on the up and up as to when some of these transits are happening, be sure to head over to my website, pick up my 2023 astrological calendar so you're aware when all these ingresses and transits are happening. You can use the monthly profiles to ritualize some of the things that are going on with the cosmos, and you are aware when we're having all the eclipses and all the other stuff, because it's so helpful to be aware and kind of be forewarned when some of these really positive transits are taking place. Or you can learn how to start tracking transits and making astrology work for you by joining my Astrology 201, my live level 2 courses to learn astrology and what's coming through the art of transits, returns, all kinds of predictive methods that I have used in my personal techniques for years. My classes are going to start in January. We're going to have 8 consecutive weeks, one-on-one with a group of people in my live classroom. Make sure you join me. Click the links below, go to my website, and you can sign up. And I will leave it at that. So I will see you guys all very soon. Take care.